Today we're going to talking about Exadata Management Pack and the Zero Data Loss Recover Appliance Management Pack. My name is Björn Boltoft. I'm product manager for Exadata. About the background, availability and pricing will also be included, content summary and the MVP features that we have delivered. So the pack is new delivered and there are new development going on and so on also here. So when we started with engineered systems, or both Exadata Management Pack and the Recovery Appliance Management Pack, it is because we see that our customers, you have lots of both Exadata in your environments. Some customers have over 100 and several hundred Exadatas, and you are running several hundred to even some customers using thousands of databases on the same Exadata machine. So it is important that we have features that's helping you to manage, monitor, and utilize the performance on the Exadata in the best manner as well. We have deployments in different clouds. So we have both on-prem, we have cloud at customer, multi-cloud, and so on. So all the Exadata machines are covered by these packs also. We want to help you with automation. Automate at the scale, so to avoid human errors. We also discuss with the outliers how to detect outliers in various levels, Exadata levels, in database levels, VM clusters, and so on. How to utilize the resource management in the best available way also, and make sure that you have the ability to have a good consolidation in your environment. So these are the challenges that we worked with in this case. So price, I will talk about pricing later on, because these are enterprise manager packs that are included in licensed packs. So first of all, when it comes to the Exadata management, we had a set of features that we saw that was important. So fleet dashboards, that was requested, and we also had customers asking lots of fleet dashboards, trying to figure out how to solve this. We also got questions about advisors. How can Oracle and Enterprise Manager tell us how to run these databases mostly efficient in the environment? How can we be efficient with our Exadata environments? Automation, fleet automation is the key. For example, if you have 100 Exadatas, you need to deploy the AHF balancing on all those Exadata machines. That's not just the Exadata machine, it's all nodes in the Exadata machine. So it's quite lots of deployment that needs to be done. So all of that is something that we made sure that is possible to do. On-premise, cloud customer, as we said, and multi-clouds. So the features are about dashboards, AHF framework administration, database impact advisor, and IRM advisor, Exadata infrastructure patching, and then we have Exascale interactive IOPS visualization, and also Exadata cloud database inventory visualization also. So everything is done according to that. For the Recover Appliance, it's more about automation here. It's quite common that some customer has one Recover Appliance, but we also see customers with 10 and 50 recovery appliances as well. And automation, if you have thousands of databases, you need to automate the onboarding of your databases to your recovery appliance to make sure that it's automated and reduction of all the human errors with that. So we have fleet automation, we have fleet backup management, and we have fleet dashboards here as well. Dashboards, same dashboards we use in the same dashboards we are combining because it's an Exadata hardware in the bottom that we're using. The AHF framework administration is the same framework administration as we do for the Exadata, but here we focusing on backup configuration and scheduling. Archival backup scheduling and database fleet advanced backups also, if you have advanced configuration of recovery appliance. So let's look at the features that we have for both the packs. So the dashboards that we currently provided is fleet configuration dashboard. So here we can see information about every Exadata that's available in the context of all the Exadatas. So we have a complete amount of engineer systems. We can see engineer systems deployment types. If we have on-prem, cloud to customer, and so on. We have engineer system types, autonomous databases, and normal Exadata environments. We have information about Exadata generations, and here we can see more detail about the generations. There are more dashboards below this, so we are not seeing all in the same screen here, but we have information about if this is a multi-rack, X8M, X7, and so on. We have information about the storage server hardware and the database server hardware and all of that. So we can quite easily identify if there are something that we need to change. For example, we see something that's we need to patch a certain Exadata. That's by the software. So, for example, we see that we need to fix something on our island servers, or if it's a switch or something like that, it could be need to be upgraded. We can also do quite lots of investigations saying that, okay, here we have 8 Exadata machines with 7.9. We want to upgrade them. We can then easily identify all the Exadatas. We can also add a filter and just see those Exadatas, which database version and so on that's on those machines. And of course, we can here see the databases also. So we can do the filtering, saying that, okay, how many, if we just focusing on the 23.4 database version and which Exadata versions do have this database and so on. So by filtering, we have the ability to see quite lots of information. We can also see fleet aggregated capacity view. So if you're looking at the top here on the aggregated capacity, we have lots of filters which can be taken from the previous screen. So if we started with the configuration, we can add the filters, and then we bring in those filters to the next dashboard. And the overall capacity here is the aggregation of all our Exadatas within the filter that we're using. Here we have all the Exadatas. We see that we have quite lots of capacity free. So in this use case, we can add more databases. That's not a problem. We can also see what type of latency we have on IO servers and so on, storage allocation and everything. So for example, as we see, memory utilization is much higher than CPU utilization on this system. Yes, we can add more databases, we can add capacity, but can we add as much capacity as we need, because we may need use more memory in that case. If we go to the next level, we have the fleet capacity. So we're seeing the same information here, but the difference is that now we have bubble diagrams on each individual Exadata machine. So we have, for example, the Exadata machine on the bottom left. That's a quite big Exadata machine, lots of capacity available. Then we have another Exadata, which also is a large machine, and there we're using more of the capacity. So that means we need to figure out, can we either balance this, or can we add more databases, for example, to the Exadata in the bottom left there. So that helps us to get that. We hover over these bubbles and we see the name of the Exadata. And of course, we can have an Exadata and we have 8 nodes on the Exadata, but a database may only be running on 2 or 4 nodes on the machine. So then we go to the component capacity. And for the same Exadata machines that we saw before, now we can see each individual node in the Exadata machine. And we can see the usage utilization of each individual. So here we have quite evenly usage. We see that in the low left, we have 2 nodes that's more utilized than the other ones, and so on. So therefore, it is easy for us to identify what's needed and so on. And therefore, we can also do a quite good capacity planning in our environment. Another feature, and this is about the Exacheck and autonomous health framework administration. So we recommend you to have the latest release of Exacheck, and we're releasing quite frequently, and so you need to upgrade your Exacheck. And now we have the ability to do this fleet-wide. We can upgrade the Exacheck, we can look at the service status of the Exacheck, see that everything works, upgraded, and here we can see if there is upgrade needed for some Exadatas. We can run AHF autoruns, so we can schedule this from this framework. We can make sure that we have information about the status and history of each run of the Exadata checks. So we manage by deploying the latest release of Exadata AHF in a staging environment, and then we can use that for upgrading on all our environments. We configure, so we have the ability to configure your Exacheck, like a full Exacheck on, for example, on the Friday, and then we have partial Exachecks that's running every day with just some parts of the Exacheck, and we can schedule these runs. But we can also run on demand, so we can select a certain Exadata, we can run this Exacheck on demand, or we can execute AHF CTL commands and Exacheck commands from this framework. So let's talk a little more about features in the Exadata management pack that's not common features. So starting with the database impact advisor. Impact advisor is using AHF balancing to perform Exadata system-wide CPU analysis. Here we can identify databases that's using lots of resources and databases that's impacted by other databases. If you using the CPU count caging for each individual database, there are several ways to do it. Either you don't use it, that means all databases can use all the resources and they impact each other. We can do partitioning. That means that each individual Exadata have a set of CPUs, and if we have 10 CPUs, we have 3 databases or 4 databases. Let's say start with 2 databases and 10 CPUs. Then each of them will have 5 CPU each. Then we can over provision. So now we're adding a third database. This third database also get 5 CPUs. So we don't have 15 CPUs. We still have our 10 CPUs. That means that they are cannibalizing on each other if there is a need. But they are guaranteed a certain amount of resources. And in that case, 10 CPUs, 3 databases means 3.3 CPUs guaranteed resources. And if there are times when they're cannibalizing on each other, that's where we have the impacts and the warning. So we can see if a database is either just exposed, that means we are one database using more than the 3.3 CPUs they are guaranteed. And that means another database can't get what it needs. And then we have also see that if they are impacted, another database is really using the resources that this database needs. So in that case, we have the full information about that. We can also correlate by instance level impact, if this is database wide or just for a certain instance. We can identify if there are events that's happening during the same time. For example, a CPU is going out of line or something like that during a certain period. There are something happening. Then we can see if events that correlate to where the databases are exposed or impacted by each other. Per instance, history also. So we have this not just for the time that's occurring, it's actually quite long history that we have available. And of course, an impact advisor is something that's providing us with the details about how should we configure the system to make sure that the CPUs are guaranteed in the best way for each individual database. So here we have a system, we have 16 databases. We just captured a few of them. We can see that none of them has CPU caging. So they are allowed to use all the 96 cores. But they are also during the same time exposed by other databases from using this. And there are hours when they also impacted. Other databases use resources that this database needs. We can see how should we configure these databases to make sure that they get the resources. And that's the action plan. So we have the CPU count reduction and increase information, telling us that the first 2 databases here, instead of giving them 96 cores, they should only have 6 cores each, which will allow other databases to use the resources because they are not using more resources in most of the time. So that will help you to identify. That will also help you to consolidate your databases to make sure that you can actually add more databases to this environment and get them working in a better way. Then we have the IRM advisor. In the same way as for CPUs, we can set IRM resource management to make sure that databases get a certain amount of IO requests. Here we also have information telling us a little about the databases, how they are impacted with IRM resource management. So the CDB3 has some warnings, which means it's impacted by other databases. It doesn't get resources enough, so it needs to wait for IO resources. It's also the largest database on the system, and therefore it's quite that's using most IO. So it's either it could be a database that needs to be get more resources, or it could be a database that should be restricted even further because other databases should get the resources. We can do this on database level. We can also create profiles. So each individual database are included in a profile, bronze, silver, gold. In this case, we say it's a gold database, and now instead of it needs more resources, then we could probably create a diamond profile, make sure that this database get the resources it needs and other databases. For example, CDB7 and 2 may not need as much resources. We can get the same information or similar information in a line graph also. So here we see more details about where we have the time when they are exposed or have running into issues by other databases. We can also see the current limits, and we can see how they are set. If they're using a profile here, yes, they're using a profile, and then we can see what type of life cycle status. So, for example, CDB7 is having quite lots of resources. It's gold profile, but it's a test database. That should probably not be the case. So it might need to be downgraded to bronze or silver in that case. Patching. So for a long time, we have heard from our customers, we need to get a good set of features for patching our infrastructure. And now we have a fleet-wide patching mechanism. Currently, it's including InfiniBand networks. We have not delivered the Rocky patching capabilities yet. That's on the way. But we need to just make sure that we have things working first. So with that, we have the ability to patch your environment. Fleet patching, so you can add several Exadatas at a time. You can make sure that, for example, you patch your test environment first, then you know that everything works. Then we can schedule patching of production environments or other test environments. We have the ability to, if there are some problems, to roll back to previous version if required. And as we said, fleets, so we can schedule this for as many Exadatas as wanted and needed in the same time. So we can do this in maintenance for Windows because it's scheduled, and we're supporting both UI, REST API, and EMCLI for those features. And I think you have heard a little about the Exascale. So Exascale is a new that's interface for instead of ASM or in one way, it's replacing ASM. So here we working with something called vaults, storage pools, and storage servers. So they are working together, and you providing IO resources to a vault or to a storage pool. And we have functionality that's included in the base monitoring, which means you already have it in the plugin just by installing. It's not part of the Engineered Systems Pack or Exadata Management Pack. It's integrated, so we do discovery similar to what we have done before, and we're monitoring the capacity and usage in the same way also. So here we have information about storage capacity and usage, volumes, performance IOPS, and health and incidents. That's out of the box in Enterprise Manager. But when you want to do a more advanced configuration, like setting up different storage pools, different vaults, and assigning vaults, databases to these vaults, and so on, to make sure that they get a certain amount of capacity for a certain amount of a certain database. Then we have Exadata Management Pack features. That's an interactive visualization of the complete schema here. So we see the Exadata by itself, we see the pools, the vaults, and we see how much capacity you have between each other. And if there is a capacity utilization that's needed more, then we see that as a red bar instead, and saying that these pools, vaults is actually using as more or less in the top range of how much they have provisioned. So 97%, 75% or something like that. We have critical thresholds setting up and can visualize that in this diagram. The same for Exadata Cloud Monitoring. There are lots of features that's included, and we have built this for a long time now. More or less the 13.5 release has features and functionality for Exadata plugin and Exa Cloud Monitoring. All of that is available out of the box, but we also including new features, and this is also something that's growing over the time. Here we have a Sankey diagram, tells you about all the databases you have installed on your Exadata. You see the CDBs, pluggable databases, and so on that's used, and you can see how many pluggable databases each CDB has, how many CDBs for each database home, how many database home for each individual minor release and major release, and so on. And if there are Oracle homes that's not used, then it is very simple here to identify that, and you can remove those Oracle homes if they are available. If that's a possibility. And we have the same information in tree-based visualization also to provide you with the same deals. So with that, we have seen all the new features available right now for the Exadata Management Pack. So let's talk a little about the Recover Appliance Management Pack as well, and the features that we have there. As we said, we working on features for automation. And this is actually all the steps that needs to be done to onboarding a database in the Recover Appliance today. So the Recover Appliance Administrator is onboarding the database, adding it to the recovery appliance. The database administrator starts to discover the database. After discovery, there are lots of configuration. First, you need to configure the host. Make sure that the RA module and everything is downloaded, SQLnet updated, and so on. For all the databases that's on the same host, you need to register it with the recovery appliance, configure RMAN settings, edition parameters, and everything needs to be configured. Data guard, if you're using data guard, there are certain data guard settings that need to be set, and then we need to refresh. And last, we also do a database fleet backup scheduling. This is also something that needs to be done. And thing with the scheduling is that, yes, we schedule it, but we need to monitor and manage that for every database by itself. So instead, what we have done is we have automated this. We have provided an automated feature to make sure that your databases are backed up correctly. We're starting, the onboarding needs to be done. The database needs to be discovered in Enterprise Manager. That's fine. But all other steps are more or less automated here. The configuration for host, databases, and data guard, all of that is automated. The fleet backup scheduling, not just the scheduling, but we also test execute to make sure that everything works. So, and we set up for encryption and then make sure that, okay, now it's working, now we can leave it to the recovery appliance. For that, it's still a database in doubt for backup. But as soon as we have tested it, we know that everything works and it is fine to go forward. So we have a workflow for this. We have the target workflow. We add the targets saying that, okay, these are the databases that we want to do backup on. Selection, either multi or individual databases. We can do a group target also, so we can take all databases in a certain profile. If it's production test databases, we have information about the data guard, primary and standby databases. We have support and recover for backup recovery continuity to make sure that everything works in environment, even if your recovery appliance is unreachable in some way. And if you have an alternate recovery appliance, that helps with that. We have auto configuration of all your databases. As soon as a new database joins a group, it will automatically be configured with that group settings. And we can do this from the UI, but we can also use REST API and CLI to do this. Then we have configured the backup. Now we schedule. So for the same databases, we have a way to select the databases, and we can do that individual group and configure a schema and set up a schema for when a database should be backed up, what type of backup should be done during a certain day and so on, or a certain time of the day. We're using the incremental forever backup strategy to make sure that it's always backed up and all the data sets is available. As soon as a new database joins the group, it will automatically pick up the scheduling for that group. And as we said, individual databases can be backed up to different recovery appliances. We can have a recovery appliance in different data centers. So that's a possibility. And also for the scheduling, we have REST API and EM CLI as a complement to the UI. One of the most advanced configuration that we see is we have primary and standby databases. We want to make sure that we back up all the databases, even the primary and the standby. So since we have different data centers, there is a recovery appliance in each data center, and the standby needs to be backed up to the recovery appliance. We can also do make sure that we have mirroring, so we make sure that everything is correct on both recovery appliances. We back up primary and standby to different databases. That's backup and recover continuity. Then we have backup anywhere replication. So in that case, we make sure that we replicate the backups to the other recovery appliance. And the most complex is a gold backup anywhere, replication, backup, and recover continuity. So we have a primary preferred and an alternate recovery appliance in the same data center. If the preferred goes down, then it will back up to the alternate. And we have the reader transformation. We have also for the standby database, we do the same preferred and alternate backup there as well. So that will help us. We have more or less secured our backups up to the roof in that case. And there is also a need for backup, what we call the archival backup. So you take the backup, you more or less bundle it and put it on a tape or a hard drive, and there you have a copy of your database. So this is the archival, and there are common reasons why you need to have archive backups, like there are compliance reasons. So you need to have archive backup maybe every month for some databases, every week for other databases. And this is something that we have the ability with these features to schedule. So we're using the archival backup. We can take the backup, but we don't do it from the database. We do it from the recovery appliance. We put that archival backup to object store or tape if that needed, and have a point in time copy of the database. The fleet archive backup can be scheduled using profiles here as well. So we're using gold, silver, bronze profiles, and gold profiles every week, bronze, silver monthly, bronze yearly, and so on. We can have specification on compression, encryption option, and so on. So all of that is available. So that's covering the features that we have for these packs. So now let's talk a little about, it is also coming with the price tag. So these prices are the list prices that we have for the packs. If you go to the price list, and we deliver this functionality in RU23, so it is out. You can download RU23. You add the packs, or it will be automatically added. Then you take and you need to use the management pack access to set your Exadatas to be using this pack, and then it will appear. When you go to Enterprise Manager, the homepage, there will be a little checkbox telling that the pack is enabled on this Exadata machine. So the pricing is per data for the Exadata management pack is either named users, if you're using named users on your Exadata, otherwise it's per processor. And if we're taking a 48 core machine, it's $96,000 or something like that. But the thing here is, if you compare this to all other license that's already on the machine, it's at around 3% on top of the other features. And we have features that helping you to be more productive. It has features helping you to have more consolidations on the machines. So that will be very useful features. For the Recovery Appliance, it is per disk drive. And same here, it's list price. There are normal discounts, and the same is here, around 3% on top of Recovery Appliance licensing. So we have started with blogs on this. So we're using the blog portal for Oracle, and there is a new blog introducing Exadata management and zero data loss recovery appliance management pack. And there will be in-depth blogs in the future. If you want more details, or if you want more to know about this, your sales rep or SCs can do presentation also using the deck that we're using here. We have new documentation. It is a brand new manual, a separate manual from the other one. Advanced management and monitoring for engineered systems. We have the information that I provided on the previous screen is new licensing doc, Exadata management pack, and zero data loss recovery appliance management pack. There are a couple of both videos and white papers that's providing information about what we have talked about, but not really covering the engineered systems pack that we talk using here. So it's more about health and resource utilization monitoring and so on. And then it's tying together quite well with the features here. So it is time to open for Q&As now. Just before we do that, we have, as Catherine talked about earlier, Cloud World is more or less just 3 weeks away, and there are a couple of sessions, both learning sessions and masterclass sessions. So that will be sessions that you can visit. We also have people on the demo ground that can talk a little more about these features and so on. So if you want to have more information, there is a complete manageability agenda that's separate here.
Reach out if you have additional questions. And thank you so much for all your time.